So, who is a penguin's favorite family member?
Their gunkle. I don't know.
Their Antarctica.
Oh, here's the thing. You know why I didn't get it? I say aunt.
Oh!
I'm fancy. They're Antarctica. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to what I hope will be an exciting new series called Family Feuds. A video series where each episode I pick a family of animals, or sometimes like a group of animals, or some, general assemblage of vertebrates or invertebrates, and rank them arbitrarily based on what I like and don't like about them. And sometimes I'll be joined by a guest. So this is Maggie.
Hi, world.
This is her first time.
And another special guest, my dog.
That's Maggie's dog, Aros, who can you see him?
No, if Maggie moves, yeah.
Can you see him a little bit?
There he is.
We can also insert a picture.
Oh my God.
And we're also joined with a camera woman. So Emma is here helping us. We're trying some new things out. We're also, I traveled light when I came to visit Maggie, so we've got an assemblage of things.
We're very resourceful.
Very resourceful, which is, kind of what this channel is about, being resourceful.
It
Using what you
is.
have.
That is the theme.
That's
yes,
my
there we
reasoning.
go. Mm-hmm.
Maggie and I co-host a podcast called The Watering Hole, where we drink, so we do have beverages. And
We're always
discuss
drinking.
a different species every episode, and we hope to start that up again soon. So she was the perfect person to bring on to this first episode of Family Feuds. And in addition, the animals we're talking about, she's actually seen in the wild, I have not. So she has one up on me. Today we're starting with the family Svenskidae.
You love pronouncing things in their Latin names.
I know.
I think that sounded pretty good.
That sounded pretty good. It's penguins. Today we are going to rank the 18 members of the penguin family. Yes, there are 18 penguins. We're going to move kind of quickly because that's a lot to fit in one video.
If you listen to our podcast, then you know when Ashley chooses a lot of one animal to discuss, kangaroos, it can go on for days.
Yeah.
And we know you don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, and
we don't have that kind of time.
No, I don't. Also, if you're watching this on the day I hope to release it, I'm releasing it on January 20th, which is National Penguin Day, Penguin Awareness Day, International Penguin Day.
Somebody out there is celebrating penguins today.
Yeah, and hopefully you are not one of them.
Yeah.
So I got to be able to edit this pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Hydration is important, people. So today we're ranking penguins. Maggie, I've asked to do no research. She does have knowledge of penguins. She has her biases, I will say.
I do.
But I've done some preliminary research. I want to say in general for this series and this episode, I think all penguins are great. I think nature is beautiful. There are very few animals that I actually don't like. I like all the penguins. This is just arbitrarily how I feel in the moment, but I've taken some notes on these penguins. I will share them, we will discuss, and we will rank with props.
Of course.
This is exciting. This is the first of the series. We're gonna see what happens. I mean, there's just so much going on.
Are we gonna rank as we go? So we'll be like, Adelie penguin is number 1, and then as a new penguin, he goes in front.
We can shuffle around.
Okay.
It's an amorphous blob, if you will, of ranking.
I love amorphous blobs.
Right? The best.
Those are the best kind of blobs.
But I will say general criteria, coolness factor. Just what things does this penguin do that's cool or unique or fun? Second, physical appearance.
Ah, yes, so
Especially
important.
with penguins, is this cute? Is this would I want to hang out with this penguin at a bar?
Yeah.
The questions you ask yourself.
Or a
And then-
fancy party. Because they're dressed for it.
Oh my God, yes. That's so much better than a bar. Take out what I said. Who's editing? And then, is it penguin-y? When you think of a penguin, is this what you think of? Or does it just not meet the penguin standards that I have arbitrarily put in my head over the years?
Yeah.
What has society told us about penguins that we should believe?
Oh, okay.
Which I feel like is not a great criteria.
What has society told us about penguins? That they live in the cold.
Yeah, that they're friends with polar bears, which none of these penguins
So inaccurate.
live with polar bears. Also, I definitely meant to put like a general description of what a penguin is. I feel like we have a pretty good idea. Penguins, flightless birds, they swim in the water, they're really cool. That's penguins. So ready for our first penguin?
I think so.
You know him, you love him. The Adelie penguin. Woo-wee! Cheers! The crowd erupts into raucous cheers. Here's the thing. Maggie knows this penguin. Maggie's made a film about this penguin. So I do feel like maybe Maggie should give some information on this penguin if she wants to. I told her she didn't have to do any research. But what can you share about the Adelie penguin?
So the Adelie penguin is one of the only species that is only found in Antarctica.
Okay.
One of, I think, 2 species that's endemic to Antarctica. That being said, they are primarily found along Antarctica's edges, so close to the coast, because they do like to forage far away from the land. They're really susceptible to the impacts of climate change because they like to live on the coast. As it's getting warmer, it's getting too hot for them. And so there's not much further south for them to go, because if they're moving further inland, then they're farther away from the sea, which is their food source. But like fun facts about them and their pairs.
Wait, you're saying that the fact that they're suffering from climate change isn't a fun fact?
That is the least of the fun facts.
They're resilient, though.
They are so resilient. They're such a great species. They're very hardy. The males, similar to a couple other penguin species, the males will present to a female a pebble, like in courtship. This doesn't always happen because a lot of times we think, oh, this is just so beautiful. Like animals will give a pebble to its mate. This doesn't happen all the time. It's not actually like presenting a bouquet of flowers. It's more like, I'm ready to build a nest that we can put our egg in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'd like any human man to do like any amount of that. You don't have to build give me a pebble. I don't care at this point. Give me a pebble.
A cool shaped rock and I'm yours.
I will take it. Actually, a cool rock. A geode?
I have so many cool rocks in the other room. We'll look at them later.
Are we dating? Anyway, okay, so Adelie penguin, super cool, struggling with climate change, but like pretty resilient of a bird. Better at dating than most human men.
Yes.
Also, just like physically, I feel like they're a unique looking penguin. I like that they have a very like clean look to them.
I think they're so chic and sleek.
Yes. All right, they're our first ones, so obviously they're already in the first rank.
They're so great.
But we'll move them accordingly. I think high ranking on this side, right?
If you say so.
So we'll put them high up.
Great.
We don't know. All right.
No.
The African penguin.
Also known as the jackass penguin.
That's the best part. So this is an African penguin. Forgive me, my notes are over here, and I did not memorize all these facts about 18 species of penguin.
Albert Einstein once said, why bother to commit anything to memory if I can just look it up? So there you go.
Albie, you know
just
me
in
and
Alberta.
You. The African penguin, also known as the jackass penguin. They live in Namibia and South Africa. They're known as the jackass penguin because of the loud braying noise that they make in communicating with each other. I will say that's not unique to them. Other penguins also communicate that way.
The noises penguins make is honestly comical.
Yeah, and there's no way really to compare, who's actually the noisiest, really, unless you're a penguin expert, which we're not.
We're not.
But the fact that you have a nickname, I just feel like that's significant.
That's pretty cool.
I did see that they use 3 different types of calls. A bray to attract a mate. They yell, which is just fantastic. Used to defend their territory, and they haw, used by mates to locate each other. Looks-wise, because this is kind of important, is they have this bear patch over their eye, the pink bear patch, and it's used to regulate heat.
Because they live
in a
further
hotter
north than most penguins.
Exactly. Other cool fact, or I think is cool, is they build nests in sands or deposits of their excrement, called guano, or under bushes and rocks. So they're building poop nests. Cool.
That's great. I have nothing to add.
But pretty cool. What do you think?
I think they're pretty cool.
I think they're high ranking. There's only 2 so far.
There's only 2. First of all, yes, I'm biased. I think the Adelie is super great. The reason I would not just for personal bias, rank these one below Adelie is because when you think of penguin, you do not think of Africa or Namibia.
I forgot the penguin-y aspect.
Penguin-y aspect, exactly.
You don't think of Africa, which you'll soon learn is wrong. Don't just think of Antarctica. But what society has told us, you're right. Mm-hmm. All right. Next up.
This is a fun one.
The chin strap penguin. Also, just like looks-wise, chic, unique. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're all striving to be.
Why are you wearing a helmet?
It's a great question. Although for safety, always wear a helmet. So you've seen chin strap. Anything? What can you tell us about it? Maybe a little shorter than the Adelie description because we're on 3 of 18.
Well, there's a lot of chin straps out there. The way they move is just kind of like hunched over and like hobbly.
Same.
They're a smaller penguin compared to others.
One thing I really liked is that they have been known to be particularly feisty. There's been a lot of research where they've been where they tag penguins and they're known for projectile pooping when they are released from the researchers.
Yes, have seen that.
And I like a feisty bird. The largest colony hosts some 1.2 million breeding pairs, and there was a volcanic eruption in 2016, and it covered much of the colony in ash. And the birds were undergoing their annual molt, where they lose all their feathers, and so they're like really susceptible then, and they lost a lot of their waterproof feathers. So they were landlocked and couldn't go into sea. So it was really detrimental to that population of penguins.
Where was that volcano?
The southern uninhabited South Sandwich Island of Zavadovsky.
That makes a lot of sense.
Do you know that?
Yeah, okay.
I had no idea. But isn't that cool? Just like living on the edge. They're feisty. They live near volcanoes. They're unique. And now I was like thinking they were going to be after African, but I think they might be above African.
They're really penguin-y.
Gosh darn it. Okay.
Good job, chin strap.
I don't know. I almost feel like they could beat Adelie, but it's going to be a hard one.
No.
The classic, the most traditional penguin.
Woo!
The emperor. I also tried to make these like somewhat size accurate. No, I didn't actually measure. I just put them in Photoshop and resized them. And the emperor is the biggest of the penguins.
Emperor penguins are so beautiful.
They really are. So I feel like everyone knows this penguin. They're incredibly resilient, incredibly just like very parental.
Yeah.
So these guys live in Antarctica in an incredibly harsh environment. They're the largest in body mass and height. They only have 1 chick per season, and they incubate it in just like these massive huddles of male penguins with the egg on their feet, and they like kind of rotate in and out.
Which is so remarkable that like if a penguin is on the outside of this massive huddle, they switch, they take turns. Like they understand like, hey, Fred, you've been out there for a day. Like let me switch with you so that I can take the brunt of the Antarctic inhospitable weather, you know?
And then in the meantime, the lady penguins are making these crazy month-long journeys out to get food to bring back to their chicks.
Yeah.
They can also dive deeper than any other bird. They can dive up to 1,850 feet, stay underwater for 20 minutes.
Big lungs.
Like, they're just incredible, and they're beautiful.
Yeah. They are what you think of when you think of a penguin.
And I think for that reason, I think they rank first.
I think they're
Which, like, I don't want to be that person.
No, but I think that is
put
totally fair.
the emperor first, but... All right, next up, we have a penguin that I feel like is one of the ones that people don't know about.
Yeah? I actually didn't know about this when when I was going through and like trying to identify all your pictures. I was like, who's that?
So we've got the erect-crested penguin.
What a name! What a name!
So the erect-crested penguin is our first of the crested penguins. There's actually a good amount of crested penguins with these nice, beautiful, like yellowy plumes above their eyes, like double mohawks. I actually had my mom look at all the penguin cutouts that I had, and I was like, I just want to know what her favorite was based on nothing. And she's like, why did you put the same penguin down like 4 times? So there are a lot of these crested penguins, but they're still different. This is our first New Zealand penguin. They've kind of said, screw nests, we don't need them, and they just lay their eggs pretty much directly on rocks. Very rudimentary, if non-existent. They actually don't come on land after they molt, and so they're just out in the ocean during the winter, and nobody really knows a lot about them.
So they molt, and then once they go into the water, they just don't come back.
Yeah, and they're done breeding. They don't have any babies around. They kick it into the sea and like
Party.
peace, man. So there's not a ton known about them.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of websites mentioned this. They lay, and this happens with a couple different penguins, they lay eggs of 2 different sizes, and basically the smaller one is just an insurance policy.
It's like a spare.
Yeah. Kill the spare!
Kill the spare! No!
So cool, our first New Zealand penguin. I will say I don't think it ranks any higher than our current penguins.
I agree. I think because we're about to encounter a lot of crested penguins, I like that it's kind of mysterious.
Right?
Like, we don't know a lot because it's elusive or something.
Right.
So I think it's gonna rank higher than where it is right now.
Yeah. Next up, we have another crested. Yep, we have another crested penguin. We have the Fjordland crested penguin. So as you can see, very similar. Also from New Zealand, lives in New Zealand. Their Maori name is Tawaki. And basically Tawaki was a god that walked on earth in human form. I feel like that's pretty cool.
That's impressive. Like,
To be a little penguin and be named after a god.
they really revered this penguin.
I'll link to more information because there's actually a Tawaki project that is doing a lot of research around these penguins because there's not a ton known about them. And then there's like really cool, just like the mythology of how this penguin came into existence.
I'm into it.
That I definitely can't fit into this video. But they're so cool. Also, nice cool crests above their eyes. I feel like they're very similar. The Fjordland ones I feel like look more like eyebrows. Like more like a suave, like eyebrow gentleman.
So the Fjordland, you'll see the eye patch goes all the way down to the beak, whereas the erect crested does not. It just kind of goes to the end of the eyes.
But so they're a very secretive bird. There's not a lot known about them, but they actually spend a lot of time in caves, rock crevices. That's where they make their nests, under trees, roots, kind of in vegetation.
Wow.
But one of my favorite things about these penguins is, do you know who Benedict Cumberbatch is? Okay. There's a famous clip, and I'll link it somewhere or in the description below. And it turns out that he did the voiceover for a documentary about this region that has these penguins, and he pronounced penguins wrong. I'll link to the clip because it's the funniest thing.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's like a BBC natural history doc, and they just let him get away with not saying penguins right.
No one corrected him.
No one corrected him. But it happened to be the Fjordland penguins that's the one they're talking about. Whenever I'm like feeling a little down, I will watch that clip because it's
Fantastic.
it's so funny. And so for that reason, which is personal and arbitrary, to me they rank above the erect crested.
Absolutely, let's do it.
I'm so sorry. All right, moving on. The Galapagos penguin. Can you guess?
know
What?
there are a Galapagos penguin? I mean, can you believe it?
Can you believe it? So these guys also live someplace that we have not seen penguins so far. They live in Ecuador, specifically in the Galapagos Islands. They live in caves and crevices. They're apparently the least noisy of all the penguins, I read.
Interesting.
So again, I don't know who's going out and listening to like the decibels of all of the penguins.
That's a cool job.
Right? If we need that job, I'm available for hire. They're the only penguin species that crosses the equator. So everyone else is in the southern hemisphere, and there are some of these populations pop up in the northern hemisphere.
How impressive.
Right? Isn't that pretty cool?
They're little explorers.
They're also one of the smallest penguins. What do you think? Where do they rank?
I mean, it is impressive that they're very far north, but here's the penguiny aspect.
They're not as penguiny.
They're not as penguiny. They're cute, but they're a little dabbled. Honestly, okay,
They're
wait.
stuffy.
Can we time out for like?
Sure.
I think this is a cool. Keep going. I think this is this like an evolution thing because they're a little dabbled. The further north you get, and they're like subtropic water. The sun is reflecting off of that water, and it's like more sparkly.
I like it.
Because if you didn't know already, penguins are black on the top and then white on the bottom for a reason.
What do we call this? Do you know?
Oh, I did know. It's counter shading. And
Whoa.
it's because they're protecting themselves from predators on either side of them. So predators above, the black is just blending into the dark water if you're looking down at them. And then if you're looking up at them, the white blends into the brightness of the sea surface. So are these guys dabbled because they're closer to subtropic water? Who knows?
That would fit. The more clean, chic penguins are the colder weather penguins.
Yeah.
The more southern. All right, I would place it in between the Fiordland and the Recton. I like the mystery of the Fiordland.
I think that's good.
Perfect. All right, as you can
Ooh.
see, we're now trying to move faster.
We're on to a new Antarctic penguin,
Yeah.
and this guy's an asshole.
Yay! The Gentoo penguin, who is definitely gonna fall over, but we're trying our best here. So you've seen this guy.
Yeah, they live in Antarctica, but they can also move further north. So they're actually doing quite well in terms of climate change because
good.
they're fairly adaptable. They like the more moderate, temperate Antarctic waters. So you can also find them as far north as Australia.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that
think-
in my? Oh, it is in my notes.
Look at you!
Did I remember that?
Who knew?
No, not at all. They're the third largest penguin, and they have the largest breeding ranges. They have a really bright bill.
Easily identifiable.
Like, really bright. Kind of looks like I got some lipstick on. Maybe should have cut back on the lipstick a little bit, but that's to each their own. They have really streamlined bodies, but they're like particularly streamlined. They're the Michael Phelps of penguins.
Ooh, yes.
They can move as fast as 22 miles an hour, faster than any other diving bird. So they are, and they're assholes?
They're just really aggressive because they
I like
are
it.
a bit bigger. They're able to bully Adelie penguins out of nesting space and food. I think they're kind of assholes.
Okay, I really like the Gentoo. I do. I like,
They're very penguiny.
and they're unique, chic.
And
I would rank them above Adelie, but I feel like you won't let me do that.
no, I don't like them because they're assholes.
Oh, see, I like a fighter. It's a
Throwing their
natural
weight
word.
around. No.
That's what I do. The biggest sister.
I mean, I like that they're very resourceful and like can acclimate to both cold and warm temperatures.
Can we put them between Chinstrap and Adelie?
I would be happy to do that.
All right. Here, I want to do that while I find our next one. Next up, we've got the Humboldt penguin,
These guys are cool.
named after the Humboldt Current, I think.
Current, which
Or-
was probably named after a
dude.
person.
Yeah.
A man, a white man, I'm
Probably
sure.
discovered the current.
Yeah.
But they're also in a place that you don't typically think of penguins, aka not Antarctica. They live on the coast of Chile and Peru. Have you seen these guys?
Not these guys, no.
One of my goals this year, I think, is to see penguins, which is a lofty goal. The reason they can live someplace so warm compared to the Antarctic is because of the Humboldt Current is coming up and bringing the cold water and bringing those cold water fish that they like to eat. They dig burrow-like nests among piles of guano, again, poop, in caves and along cliffs. For me, these guys kind of hold a special place in my heart. The zoo I lived near growing up had Humboldt penguins. I feel like they're a very common aquarium species of penguin.
And they're very like amicable as a species. They're a good
Yeah.
ambassador of penguins.
There's also gay penguins at my zoo. So
Wow, they're wonderful.
they're LGBTQ friendly. But they live in warmer water, so they're as penguiny. But they're
But
also
they
a
live
lot
in the
of-
warmer water because the cold water comes up. So they've done
I
something
also
very
feel
smart
like you see them a
adaptability-wise.
lot. Like they're a very like present species.
I would go so far as to say in between African and Chinstrap or Chinstrap and Gentoo.
That's where I'm at. I don't know. Ugh.
We're gonna go right here.
Okay. We'll reassess at the end.
Sure.
I like that it looks like they're holding hands. Do you see this, Emma?
We've got a lot of penguins here. We gotta just
I
be
know, and
mindful
we
of
still
space.
have so many. Okay, we're moving.
We got this.
All right, we are officially halfway through.
We're only halfway through.
Yeah, I just realized that there's
1,
9
2, 3,
penguins.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my God.
But I will say, I feel like the like heavy hitters we've mostly talked about. So we're keeping going. We're moving fast, sort of. Okay, so we got the king penguin.
These guys are beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
love
I
them.
didn't realize that. Like, I mean, emperor penguins are beautiful, but I feel like these guys have like another, like, is it whimsical? I don't know what it is. Like, they're more.
I think they're so pretty. I think they're my favorite in terms of
Looks. I think what's interesting about them is that they're also kind of more cosmopolitan. Their
Kinda,
range is
yeah.
a little bit bigger. They're not Antarctic,
Sub-Antarctic.
subantarctic. They also make no nest. Similar to emperor penguins, they hold their egg on their feet, and they have what's called a brood pouch, basically a bare spot where the egg will touch where it's bare skin, where it can stay warmer. What I really like about them, and similar to emperor penguins, but these guys in particular, the young, even when they get older, they're really giant fluffy babies. Big brown fluffy babies. At one point, they were categorized as a different species of penguin, the babies, because they look so different from the adult ones.
gosh.
They called them woolly penguins. And then
Woolly
they're like,
penguins?
right? And then they're like, oh wait, these are just the babies of the king penguin. They look like different species. They can eat as many as 2,000 fish a day.
Look at that tummy.
Which is a lot of fish. Again, I don't know how much all the other fish eat, but it was enough to get a mention. And they can also dive pretty deep depths, very deep depths.
Pretty deep depth.
1,180 feet. Not as deep as the emperor penguin, but deep.
Again, got big lungs.
Big lungs. And they're the second largest penguin.
I
That was a speed round.
I arbitrarily just think they're the coolest penguin and they're beautiful. So based on looks alone, I'd rank them really high.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing.
They're my favorite penguin.
Really?
Besides Adele. Yeah.
I would put them between Chinstrap and Gentoo.
Let's do it.
Can you tell we're in the speed round now? This is what we call the lightning round.
The lightning round!
All right, next up, we've got one of my favorites.
The little penguin. The little blue fairy penguin.
Little blue fairy penguin. It's got so many names. This guy lives in Australia and New Zealand. They're the smallest penguin, weighing just under 1 kilogram, which is just so small. They're very distinctive in their look, very easy to identify, not only because they're small, but because they have this like slate indigo blue look.
So cute.
They also have blue eyes, which like you just don't.
You don't expect.
You don't. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Let me just say, their scientific name, Utatula, means good little diver.
Aw, they're so good.
Right? So they have a tendency to go out and forage at dawn and dusk so they can kind of move in the cover of night to stay safe from larger predators since they're kind of an easy target.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about these guys and a particularly large population on Phillip Island off the coast of Australia is that they were predated on a lot by foxes, and so they introduced a guardian dog program. So basically, big fluffy dogs, kind of like Argos, they're white dogs called Marimas, live on the island and they scare away foxes. They don't even like really interact. They basically ignore the penguins, but their presence is enough to keep the foxes away, and it helped to bring back these penguins. And there's a movie called Oddball about the whole thing.
That's fantastic.
Have you seen it?
I have.
I haven't seen it.
That's
Penguins
amazing.
are one of my favorite animals.
So I really like them. I think they're cute, unique, different. Not really what you think of when you think of a penguin.
No.
They do have a movie about them.
That's impressive. What were all the things besides being penguiny?
Looks,
Okay.
and then like uniqueness, which is kind of the opposite of being penguiny, I
yeah.
realize.
Oh man, it really is.
It's all arbitrary.
I
That's what this should be called.
I don't think that they're that high up, but they are very cool. So I think they're in a good spot right here. This is a fun one.
Probably the most well-known of the crested. The macaroni. First of all, great name.
Yes. Do you know why it's called the macaroni penguin?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us? I do a lot of talking.
So, do you know the song? Like, I don't even know what the song
Yankee
is.
Doodle went to town riding on a
The
pony, stuck a feather in his hat,
and called it macaroni. So that's, this guy just put a feather in his cap, and that's why he's called a macaroni penguin. Because it looks like he's got a feather in his cap.
right? And so then I was looking up, and I had two conflicting stories. One, that macaroni is the name of what the feather is.
Yes.
Or that men who wore more flamboyant clothes were called macaronis.
Ah, I've only heard the feather is called macaroni.
So I heard about the feather, I think makes more sense, but I like the idea that he's like a flamboyant man from the 18th century.
I think that's fantastic. So
great.
when I saw a singular macaroni in the wild, he was
That's
hanging,
it?
Yes, a
Just one?
singular macaroni. He was hanging out with a lot of chin straps, and nobody understood why he was there because like there was no nearby macaroni colony.
Yeah.
So and his name was Kevin, and so I really like the idea that he's just this flamboyant, like I'm gonna see the world.
Woo!
Yeah.
So these guys are migratory and kind of have a very large range.
Yes.
They're the most abundant species of penguin with 9 million breeding
No
pairs.
kidding, I didn't actually know that.
Which is wild because you just saw the one. But yeah, I think their crests are fancier. Like they're just more flamboyant.
They're very noticeable. Like yeah.
I would put this. I want to hear where you would put this.
I'd put them pretty high up because they're a very cool of the cresteds. Like the fact that now you've just told me they're the most populous penguin out there. I think that's fantastic. That's very penguiny. They're very unique looking, and I mean I gotta give it to Kevin.
Gotta give it to Kevin. For Kevin,
I
would put them between Chinstep and King.
Let's do it. I love it.
Maggie's like, we don't have time to fight. No. The Magellanic.
Cool.
So similar looking to our Humboldt or African penguin, kind of that mottled, like banded look. They live in Brazil, Peru,
Whoa.
Uruguay, Falkland Islands, Argentina, Chile, kind of all around. They get around. They're named for the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. They dig burrows, which is kind of cool. We haven't had a digger yet. Up to 1 meter, so kind of cool that they dig. That's definitely new.
That's cool.
And unique. They migrate north for the winter to Peru and Brazil, a trip that can be as long as 4,000 miles. So
Wow, that's a huge migration because they're swimming it.
that's wild. Could you imagine if they were walking it though?
That would take the entire year.
That'd be ridiculous. So they're cool. I like the fact that they're travelers.
They're a good swimmer.
I would put them,
I think they're cool, but I think they're good where they're at.
I want to put little in front of them.
Oh, good call. I agree, actually.
Good. We're moving the northern rockhopper penguin.
Can you say that again?
The northern rockhopper penguin. They've got like the most impressive crests.
It's really, you know what
Like-
I don't, it's just like,
They're like, you know, those like old men whose eyebrows they've never tamed, they've never touched.
that's them. They look
That's
like
them.
a curmudgeon.
Yeah, and I love a salty man, like a salty man. I love a salty sea man. Is that better?
No.
I love a salty
That
sea
was
captain.
worse.
Like I feel like he could captain a boat. Okay, we're moving on.
I love a salty seaman.
Oh my God. It just kept
like
getting,
the same,
it
I'm like,
kept
I thought
getting
I
worse.
Seaman.
Do you know what I'm talking about now, though?
No.
Like a boat captain. You know how like boat captains
So
are
you
like
really
known
like-
for being curmudgeons.
Yes.
I like a
I know a
curmudgeon
lo-
sea captain.
Yeah. Moving
Totally
on, they live in the French Southern Territory, St. Helena, Ascension. I'm just going to write it on the screen because I can't pronounce half these things. But like I said, they have really impressive crests. They have really thick-skinned feet and legs because they're called rock hoppers because they hop on rocks.
Yeah.
Kind of what they're known for is navigating steep, rocky shores for breeding, which is kind of where they get their name, exactly where they get their name. They're described as pugnacious and scrappy, so they're really just adding onto this
That's
whole
so
curmudgeon
cool.
thing that I like. They slap each other. Hi, Argos. What do you think of northern rockhopper penguins? What do you think, Argos? Yeah?
Because I want to be a penguin. Argos, we're in a rush here.
We're trying to move quickly. He's like, you're not moving fast enough. We have 4 left. Can you wait for penguins? Can you wait for penguins?
Back up,
Argos,
back up. Come on. Argos, over here. Come on.
Can I help you? I'm going to just guide you. All right, that's pretty good. So they're pugnacious and scrappy.
Love it.
They slap each other with their flippers, jab with open bills, they bray loudly as they tussle for nesting sites, mating rights, and food.
They slap each other with their flippers. That's all you had me at slap it with the flipper. Yeah.
Right? They're just I feel like very cartoony. I think he's where he belongs.
I agree.
But we'll
yeah.
see at the end. We only have 4 more penguins left. Can you tell we're cruising? So we've
Yeah.
got next the royal penguin. I think they're beautiful.
They're really cool. In terms of the crested, I think they look a lot better because they're like an Adelie mated with a Gentoo mated with a northern rockhopper.
Right? They're of the crested, they have the sleekest, cleanest
look.
Like they're a shabby chic example.
Shabby chic. That's it. That's what this penguin is.
They live in Australia, not typically again where you think of penguins. They leave after the breeding season, and researchers are kind of unsure of where they go for 6 months. All right, so one of the cameras is too hot to handle. So we're at one camera, this one. Royal penguins. They don't have a ton of they're kind of mysterious, like the other crested penguins.
Yeah.
You don't know where they go, they swim for a while, they're pretty.
I like the prettiness factor, the penguiny factor. I'd put them fairly high. Where would you put them?
You'd put them high? For their looks?
Looks alone. I judge books by covers. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like they're where they need to be, in the middle.
Fine.
We'll do fine. Okay, we can put them above the rockhopper.
Thank you, because this guy's just so grumpy.
Maggie and I have different criteria for judging penguins. I like grumpy penguins. She likes nice penguins. All right. Next we have the Snares penguin.
Look at that crest, those eyebrows.
These guys also
Like
have
straight out of the 90s, painting them on.
right? Beautiful. They also have like lip liner. They live in New Zealand, Snares Island, hence snares. They nest in muddy forested areas and rocky slopes. Males excavate a bowl-shaped nest, which are later lined with grasses and twigs.
Look how nice and homey they've made it.
And they also have bright yellow crests. They have more of a bulbous bill if you look at it. Yeah, so they're just really cool. But I feel like a lot of these ones that are especially found around New Zealand, they're not giant populations and there's not a lot known about them. So they're kind of secretive as well.
Isn't it cool that there are so many different species of crested penguins that are endemic to Australia and New Zealand? Like that part of the world has such amazing animals. And how and why did all of these different crested penguins
why did they
divert
separate
from whatever their ancestor was? Like, it's very cool. They all found their niche.
Yeah. Oh, where are we gonna put him?
I'd put him probably below Little Fairy and Magellanic, maybe.
Above Fiordland. All right, we've got the Southern Rockhopper. So very similar to the Northern Rockhopper.
Everything we said about Northern except South.
Yeah, pretty much all the same. They're also aggressive. They apparently peck at anything that comes too close to their eggs, so they're very parental in that respect.
And territorial too.
And territorial, yeah. Both parents take turns incubating the eggs, aggressively pecking at anything big or small that may stray too close.
Look at that.
I feel like they're basically the same as the rockhopper.
Yeah, they're one and the same.
But
except they're not.
Was he a curmudgeon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this also a curmudgeon?
Yeah, they're more aggressive than curmudgeon-y.
Oh, so they're just a dick.
Not as charming of the penguin species. All right, last and certainly not least, but I think the rarest of the penguins, the yellow-eyed penguin. They're the only penguin with yellow eyes.
Yeah.
No other penguins do. I did not know the variety of penguin eye color. When I started this, I was like, oh, they have black eyes. And I was like, oh.
They don't.
There's
blue, red, black, yellow.
Yeah. That's a lot. So the yellow-eyed penguin, they live in New Zealand. They're the largest of the penguins breeding on the New Zealand mainland.
Wow.
Their scientific name means big southern diver. So we've got the little southern diver, the little penguin, and the big southern diver, which is fun. Their indigenous name is Hoiho, H-O-I-H-O, which means noisemaker.
Oh, so they're noisy. They're talkative.
They're noisy. They're
Wow.
noisy ones.
I got something to say.
They're definitely unique looking. There's not another penguin that really looks like them, but they kind of have like this like yellow streaky cap almost. They're one of the rarest penguins of the world, but they're also relatively like rudimentary.
So they're like a very ancient species then?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're not as social as other penguins. They're pretty shy. They often nest well away of the sight of any of neighbors, so they like their personal space. They're introverts. And that is our last penguin. Where do we put him?
How he's good looking.
many.
Where is he? Right here.
I wouldn't say he's good looking. He's unique.
You really liked this penguin when you were describing him to me.
Well, just because he's rare and unique, and I literally didn't know he existed.
I'm so indifferent about this penguin.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not that excited about him.
I'm hungry. I think it's cool that he's rare, but he's not what you think of obviously when you think of penguins because you don't know who he is.
But he is unique. He's got his cool factors.
I'm gonna put him under little for right now.
Okay. Oh wow, that's a lot farther than I would have expected for you. But
all right. So take a look. We'll make any last adjustments before we decide. Is this our ranking of penguins? Here, I'm gonna say something controversial.
You don't like where the king is?
No, I don't think that Adelie should be so high.
I noticed he's very high.
He's very high.
So uniqueness was one of your factors?
Yeah.
He is the only penguin that is only black and white, and it's black and then white. It's not like a mixture of dappled. It's not any lines or other markings. That is unique.
That is unique.
Like, when you go buy a toy penguin for like your nephew, I bet you it's just black and white.
You're using my nephew against me? That's so cheating. Ugh, it worked.
I'm not afraid to go
no.
low.
I would,
But when you think of penguins, yeah, I mean, there are others that you envision. There's some that you see in the zoo. There's some that have really cool, unique features.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, the lesson is it is just really fucking hard to...
there's too many penguins. I would put a deli between king and macaroni.
King and macaroni? You would put Gentoo second?
Apparently.
They're so boring, I think. Like, in terms of, okay, they're very cosmopolitan. They can go up, down, all around. But, like, technically, so can Chinstrap. They can live further north. They can live further south.
I mean, is the final decision, it's hard. You can't make a decision. Here's the thing. I picked 2 criteria to rank them by that are complete opposites of each other.
Uniqueness and penguininess.
Yeah. Because, like, there's so much uniqueness down here in, like, these New Zealand species that don't rank as high. Mm-hmm. Man, okay. So there's a flaw in the design of this video. I think that's what we can take away is Ashley didn't think things through, which is kind of always the takeaway.
Well, that's okay. It was
All right.
still a fun time.
Our final ranking arbitrarily could easily switch, honestly. Emperor, Adeli, Gentoo, King, Macaroni, Chinstrap, Humble, African, Royal, Northern Rock Hopper, Southern Rock Hopper, Little, Yellow-eyed, Magellanic, Snares, Fiordland, Galapagos, Erect, Crested. And those are your 18 species of penguins ranked based on us.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I hope you enjoyed this chaos of a video. Thank you, Maggie, for joining me.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
I hope you had fun. You offered a lot more information on some of these penguins than I knew. Argos, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate that. And big round of applause for Emma. Hopefully, Maggie and I will be coming back this year, 2023, with the watering hole. I think that's our plan. There might be a video portion.
I think so.
So make sure you comment down below. Let us know what your favorite penguin was. Maybe you learned about a new penguin. That'd be really cool. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. And maybe I'll post this year. But until next time, and then you just wave to the camera. Or you lift your hand. We're done. We're done here. All right, this one I love.
That was lightning.
Oh, was it? Do it again.